One concern that comes to my mind is that oversupply in micro markets.
It's like a cycle of 5 years. It goes up, it keeps on going up. Then there's a little drop, and there's a flattening, and then it starts rising again.
So, what is your definition of smaller size in buildings, and what can be best done in that?
Firstly, I'm saying whenever you're doing a redevelopment, you should combine 2 to 3 plots or 4 plots, so that what happens is you get all the amenities. As far as possible, if you can do a ramp, that is the best solution for any building.
Reza sir, you have done 3500 plus projects. If you can name out the project which comes to your mind right now, which is the most memorable?
The Hotel Marine Plaza.
You do residential, you do commercial, you do hospitality. Anything in particular you enjoy more?
I always say I'm an architect and I can create anything.
Apart from architecture, that you look forward to in life.
I think architecture is a profession which you are involved with everything.
If 50 years later people pass through by a building designed by you, what kind of feelings you want them to have? Hello everyone, so welcome back to the podcast. And today we are here with a visionary architect Reza Kabul, who is the principal and the founder of ARK Reza Kabul Architects, and a visionary, a pioneer in high-rise development in India as well. And one of the greatest things that I know is completing about more than 3,500 projects in a period of 3 decades. So,
Almost 4 decades.
almost 4 decades. So, sir, something to really look up to, and a lot of learnings are going to be taken from you in the next hour or more. And thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for giving your time.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. It's also an honor to be on this podcast with you. Thank you.
So, sir, without going back into the history of where you are coming from till where you have reached today, I think so. You have seen multiple cycles of real estate and residing in Bombay, and us also developing in Bombay. One concern that comes to my mind is that right now of oversupply in micro markets, which is happening because of the premiums discounting scheme which came 3 4 years back because of COVID, and after that MOEF stalling out the projects to start for a period of for more than a year. And both these major actions are leading right now to many huge sized projects all coming together. So what is your opinion on that?
See, housing is a necessity. More than anything in India, our population is uh, it's a plus point as well as a negative point, but housing is a necessity, and uh, it's going to grow. The population is growing, the housing need is going to grow. There may be a recession or maybe a flattening of the curve, but I do not see any problem in housing, and especially residential offices, everything. It's not going to be a problem. It may be a flattening of the curve, and this is a natural tendency. Whatever goes up has to come down. And we've seen that it's like a cycle of 5 years. It goes up, it keeps on going up. Then there's a little drop, and there's a flattening, and then it starts rising again. So real estate has a cycle, and it it is bound to happen, uh, and it will happen. When it will happen, that is a big question. So, but we have to be cautious, and we have to build, we have to work, and there is a demand. Everybody needs housing, and whoever has a house, I mean, today, if somebody is in a one bedroom house, his capacity or his earnings, his lifestyle has increased. His family has increased. He wants to go into the two-bedroom. He wants to go to a three-bedroom. Aspiration value has increased. People have started traveling. People have got surplus money. So there is a demand, and this demand is keeping on going to grow. Yes, there may be a flattening, but it's going to come back again.
What one thing that I believe that there are going to be projects just next to each other. So there's an area where I personally completely have been brought up in that area, And what has happened is that there are around 55, 60 buildings in that whole area. And I believe, I'm not knowing and aware of the exact number, but 30 of them have went into redevelopment, where an average rate a year ago, a year and a half year ago, was 30,000 per square feet achievable. Today it's sitting at 22, 24, 26, based on various different case scenarios, project to project.
So, to answer this question, I would say that yes, there is a lot of construction going on, but there'll be a choice for the buyers. And when there is a choice for the buyers, the good ones will be taken. So, you have to be very conscious what you're building. Just don't build for the reason that you have got a land or you got something to redevelop. So, you're going ahead and doing it. That's not the right approach to construction, to buildings, because everybody wants something good today. Everybody wants something branded today. Nobody wants to take anything which is non branded, which is some standard. Nobody wants to go in. And when there'll be so many choices in the market, it's bound that the best ones will sell and the ones that are substandard or they are compromised, they will not be able to sell. There's going to be a challenge in that, because if I am a buyer, I always put myself in the end user's position, and if I have 10 options, I will choose the best one. If it's a little more expensive, I don't mind, because I'm not going to change my residence tomorrow. It's going to be maybe after the next 10 years or 5 years. So I will buy wisely, because when I buy wisely, I will be able to sell it wisely. So that is, I think, uh, for the developers, they should think what they're doing and they should build the best.
I think so, sir. You very rightly pointed out at the product that should be very strong to beat the competition that is there in the market. And you are a master of that. So, what tips would you give for sharing regarding, or what things to be kept in mind for building that product to outperform the competition?
So you should make niche products. The quality of construction should be good. Planning, which is very important, it should be right. Location. I mean, I've seen developers just picking up a society which is not workable also, and then they want to make the maximum out of it. And they go up to the extent of, almost touching the boundary wall. They leaving 1.5 meter and doing it in SRA and all these kind of things. Eventually, as I said, when the competition is there, I've got better options. I will choose the best one. So, planning, materials, and what are the amenities you're giving. Whatever products, whatever materials you're using, the materials have to be sustainable. And the other very important aspect of it is that the material should be uh, sturdy, and it should be, it should not have too much maintenance. Because if you use something, which may look good today, but after a few years down the line, it's going to attract maintenance. It's going to be difficult for the members or the buyers to maintain. So I would say use something which is long lasting, sturdy, and easy for maintenance.
So, to make that product, a person has to do a great planning, select the materials which are sustainable, sturdy, less maintenance, and the amenities. I think so. Amenities point will depend a lot in terms of the layout size of the product.
Correct. But in smaller apartments or smaller buildings, also we are giving a lot of amenities today, because if you see what is happening is that there's a lot of redevelopment happening. So even the smaller plots, everybody is building. When you're building, you've got no open space left. When you've got no open space left, where do the kids play? Where do the elders go and sit down and have some kind of a entertainment, some kind of a fresh air, some kind of a walking, some kind of a chit chatting for with the neighbors? So you have to be very uh, conscious what you're doing with the design, and you have to integrate all these elements into the building, so that the residents that are there, you have to think for the kids, you have to think for the toddlers, you have to think for the elders. The other very important thing, now pets have become very common in all houses, so you have to think of how you address the pets. Where do you, they need space for themselves. Very, very, very important point while planning is your services of food that come in. Today, you've got Zomato, you've got Swiggy, you've got all these things. And in a day, if you have 15, 20 apartments in a building, when they come in, how they should be, uh, you know, addressed? Where should the parcels be accepted? How it should be delivered? Because you do not know where the people come from, what is the security of the building. All those aspects you have to take care when you plan the building. The other very important thing is you should have some kind of proper service elevator, whereby anybody is doing any maintenance in the building, anybody's renovating their house, the materials should be taken through there. It should not be brought into the lobby, because we do such good lobbies, we do such you know uh, expensive materials in the lobby we use, and then there's no service elevator, or there is no proper access to the uh, staircase, or the elevator, whatever you use to take the goods up. There's no planning. So these are minor things which you have to plan while doing a apartment building or a tower or whatever, so that the other members who are living in that place do not get disturbed when somebody's house is being renovated or some material has to be taken up, or like I mentioned, Swiggy or Zomato or all these food services, or the Blinkit and everything comes in, they do not get into the lobby and all these mixing of them.
Very rightfully understood what you said. I would want to question that you mentioned that today a lot of redevelopment is happening a lot and a lot of projects are very small in size. So, what is your definition of small in size? Because I will just add one example that I experienced in real life. So, a consumer customer bought a flat in a redevelopment project of around 32 34 story tower. It is having podiums. It is a plot area of about 2,600 square meters. Now, the purchaser, the customer bought that before the building was ready, while it was in under construction. But when the building got ready, he had bought a 10 crore flat, but didn't move into it because there was not enough open ground for for kids to drive the bicycle around it in a plot which is 2,500 square meters. And till date, today also, good amount of buildings are very much smaller than 2,500 square meters also in Bombay. So, what is your definition of smaller size in buildings, and what can be best done in that?
Firstly, I'm saying whenever you're doing a redevelopment, you should combine 2 to 3 plots or 4 plots and make it at least a 3,000 square feet or a 3,000 square meter plot, so that what happens is you get all the amenities, you get a proper layout, you get a parking facility. You do not have to go in for a tower parking, you do not have to go in for a maybe one of those car lifts or something. As far as possible, if you can do a ramp, that is the best solution for any building. So I would say doing 700, 600, 500 square meter plots as a redevelopment is not a very good solution. And everybody's going in for SRA. And in that SRA, you get maximum FSI, least open spaces. You don't have anything in the project. So you have to combine 3 to 4 plots, like what the cluster development has come in. I think that is the best thing to do, because you get better amenities, you get better open spaces, and you get a better layout, proper parking, proper driveway, ramps, and everything.
I think so. Coming to cluster redevelopment has been a blessing for whole of Bombay.
Yes, I mean it's still Mumbai. If you look at the island city of Mumbai, people were doing 500 square meter plots, and 500 square meter plots with a 70 meter height. You imagine, and there's another one next to it the same way. So what are you achieving? You are just making dignified, or some luxury kind of a uh, whatever they're having, the same thing you are making it into a little luxurious, but then you're looking into the neighbor's plot at 1.5 meter from this side, 1.5 meter from this side. You got 3 meters between the two buildings. What are you achieving? So cluster is the right way to go, and I think you can get better buildings, you can get better living conditions, and you have to be sensible. You have to do whenever you're doing a project, you have to do it properly. You have to give it a proper thought and do it.
What is the minimum area required for making a ramp?
It depends, but I would say nothing below what the government has come up with minimum in city. I what was it? 1 acre,
4,000 square meters in
4,000 square
city and
meter,
6,000 in sub.
6,000 in suburbs. So I think that should be the good size for a plot to be redeveloped. And you can really do a nice building, you can do some amenities, you can do some open spaces. See, we have to look at everybody when you're designing the building. The elders, especially, they're at home all the time, they're retired. They want some place where they can just go and sit down, they can chit chat with their friends, or you know just take a nice walk. You have to give them those amenities. And if you don't give those amenities, uh, I mean, it's better than they move out of town, and they go and stay in the villages where they get some flexibility, where they can move around. They have that kind of, better lifestyle than Mumbai.
No, I think so. Cluster is facilitating the things that you are mentioning, and earlier wasn't feasible for people because that policy wasn't in place.
Right.
But that coming into place,
But only I would suggest, cluster is taking a lot of time to develop. So the government should come up with some kind of a system whereby you can fast track these, because from the time of starting the agreements and the uh, you know uh, the with the members and everything, it takes quite a bit of time, and after that it takes almost a year till you actually get it, and then you have to go to MOEF. So a lot of people are not getting into that because of the time taken. Uh, that's why you should have some kind of a system which you can fast track the MOEF as well as the approvals for the high power committee and everything.
I think so. A lot can be done for the ease of doing business in this area by the government.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You have anything in particular, any way where something can be expedited? Any solution?
So I would say you should have the guidelines set. And if you have the guidelines, the parameters set, and there should be, no gray area. It's either you'll get it approved or not approved. It's a black or a white. There should be no gray areas. If you have gray areas, then what happens? You put in a line, okay, subject to the discretion of the commissioner. And what happens is then you start going to the commissioner, you start pushing it, you start getting some kind of, uh, uh, you start what do you say, going through some channel, going meeting through the commissioner, trying to convince him, and that's again going to take time. Why should you have something like that? I mean, like, you look at the other countries in the west where you have a guideline. It's a black or a white, it's approvable or not approvable. There's no in between, there's no gray area. So we should come to that, and if we do that, I think we're going to get to fast track and everything.
No, totally with you. I want to touch on this topic in depth, which is planning for a project. And I think so you master in that area of planning a project. So what should be the approach if this is for an architect also, a junior, a developer also, that what should be his thought process before deciding whether it's a 2 BHK, whether it's a luxury development, or how should he approach to make a decision on what.
I think as an architect, if you ask myself, I always look at it that if I were to live in that place, I put myself in the place of an end user, and I say, if I have to live in this place, can I live? And if I want to live in this place, how would I like to live? So I always put myself in the end user's place and I start thinking on that, and then I start putting things down and design it that way. Because it's very important. We are playing with, or we are governing somebody else's lives. As an architect, we are imposing something on end user, and we have to be very uh, careful what we are doing with somebody else's life, because that's a house is a person's savings. It's maybe some people, they're not going to change their house for the full lifetime. So you are actually, there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulder as a designer, and you have to be really careful, and you have to design for somebody, because you're going to be uh, forcing him, or making his lifestyle. So it's very important that you get into the shoes of the end user and then you design.
Okay. I think so. The best way is to be in that shoe, and if you're going to live in that house, and think
Yeah,
what would be the best if you are staying over
absolutely.
there.
Absolutely. Like, so you should actually get in, like they say, you have to have the boots on the ground. You have to have the boots on that apartment, so that you can design it.
Reza sir, you have done 3,500 plus projects. If you can name out the project which comes to your mind right now, which is the most memorable.
Every project is like you've got some memory with it. So, I mean, if you look at uh, some projects are there, which are greenfield projects, and some projects are which are brownfield projects.
So which one comes in the mind first when it's
So when
greenfield?
it's a greenfield, see, you got a clean slate.
Yeah.
And when you're designing on a clean slate, it is very easy, because you know that, okay, this is your parameters and this is what you got to design, and still you've got the flexibility, you can do what you want. But if you get into a project which is a half done project, or it is a project which is a commercial project and then you're trying to make it into a different user, or it is a residential and you want to convert it to a hotel. So these kind of projects are very challenging projects, because you have something which is already there, and then from there you want to convert it into something different. So you want to do a different user. Those projects are very challenging. So, I mean, one of those projects which I would, I mean, it comes to my mind all the time is the Hotel Marine Plaza. So, Marine Plaza is on the Marine Drive, and it's a heritage present. It was a building which was originally designed as a residential building and then converted as a hotel. But then it was not a star hotel, it was just a hotel, which was just by force or by default, it was made into a hotel. But when my clients took the project, they bought over the project. It was a lease property and they took the lease. So when they took over the project, since I was doing projects with them, they got me in the board and we started designing. It was an existing building with a heritage present. We couldn't pull down the structure, and we had certain guidelines. We wanted to do it like a boutique five-star hotel. And doing that was a big challenge because you already had the building. And to do a five-star, there are certain norms that you require. You require a swimming pool, you require, restaurants, X amount of restaurants, you require X amount of room sizes. So doing that kind of a project is very challenging, and it was a memorable project. We did that project and it's been 33 years now, and it's standing on Marine Drive. It's got a glass bottom pool, what we achieved in putting it in the atrium, and it's got a lot of memories. But it's good memories. It was a learning point, because doing first time we did a glass bottom pool, and how we achieved it and what all we did, a lot of memories. So yeah, it's one of the projects which I remember. The other project, what I would say, is another brownfield project which I uh, always look back and do it, is the Diamond Bourse in Bandra Kulla complex. So that was started by a very renowned architect, and It was shelved for almost 10 years due to some reasons. So when the project was again announced and the committee changed and everything, so they did a little competition kind of a thing, and they got few architects, and one of them was me. And luckily or unluckily, of course luckily, I think I got picked up for that project, and we started doing that project. So it was 20 lakh square feet of commercial uh, diamond offices and trading place. And so in the 10 years that the building was shut, it was already dated. And that was the first project that was started in BKC. But after 10 years, ICICI building had come up. There was a nice glass building and glass looking building. The other buildings that had come up, a couple of them, and they were all new glass buildings. And this was like already dated. So, and the other thing was like the building, uh, 10 years, it's actually society. It's a society. Diamond Boost is a society, and there are 2,500 plus members, and they, each of them are owners. So many of them, they were, father had booked the place, and then he had got two sons or three sons, and the office were divided. And so the users had changed, and the way of working of the diamond people had changed. They wanted also to make it like a more modern building. The FSI had increased. So we got in, and firstly, it took us almost 3 months because the building was almost up. It took us, 3 months to get used to the place. It was 20 lakh square feet of basement, 20 lakh square feet of construction. And we got into the building. It took us almost 3 months to understand the building. And after that, we had an office there. I had to attend the office over there a couple of days of a week. And I used to go there, and we used to, first, we did a full survey of the building. And then we started, because there were some things, which were not gelling with the new trends that were there. So we pulled down few buildings, we added a few buildings, and the whole facade we changed. The facade we changed to make it look like a modern building. And it took us almost 10 years to finish the building. It's been there, I think it's almost now 15, 18 years that it has been completed. And I think we were successful in doing it. But these are challenge projects. Brownfield projects are always challenging. Greenfield projects are uh, great to do, but every project is has its own challenges, and it's fun.
So this building took 10 years to complete, and execution is a responsibility that comes majorly on the developer. And when projects are such long lasting, how do you feel?
Uh, you don't this thing it, because you want the project to be up and about as soon as possible. But then it was a committee, and every time we had meetings, there were committee members, and they had their own requirements, their opinions. So we had to handle all those people as well. But we managed. And today we can sit down and laugh, but there were times, when we said, my God, what did I get into? But yeah, it's always fun. But
I think so. Recently heard Mr. Savjibhai from Surat, that whenever you are getting into something with someone, like be it a marriage or a partnership in business or any kind of relation with something into consideration, they have never been the one to pull back, like as a work ethic. And that has always given back them more in whatever area they didn't step back.
yeah, so I also say, because Diamond Bourse gave us recognition. Diamond Bourse took us to the next level. Marine Plaza also took us to the next level, because it was one of the first hotels of my life. And today we are doing almost uh, 50 hotels, 60 hotels, branded hotels in India and overseas. We are doing almost 60 hotels. So there's a starting point, and that takes you to the next level. We did Diamond Bourse, then from there we did other buildings in the BKC. From there we did so many projects in the Gift City, all commercial projects. So it gives you a learning it gives you it's a challenge, but then you learn, and then there's always a takeaway. You learn from everything.
You do residential, you do commercial, you do hospitality. Anything in particular you enjoy more?
I always say I'm an architect, and I can create anything. So I enjoy project. I'm like a kid. When a project comes to me, I just get too excited. It's like a toy, new toy you give a kid. So I get excited and I take the project up, and uh, we go ahead, you know. But yeah, I'm a kid when it comes to work.
So I would like to touch on one important thing where right now in more than like almost 4 decades, you have done more than 3,500 projects. So almost more than hundreds of project in a year. How do you manage?
One is I'm very focused. As I said, I come in at 9 and I'm there up till 9, and I even after 9 my brain doesn't shut, it keeps on working. So maybe when some challenge is there, some kind of a problem is there, some solution you need, it you don't close it and you go. It's not like a shop where you just, shut the shop and you've gone home and then next morning you come and open it again. I think an architect's profession is like whenever you are at it and there's a problem to be addressed, you will, even when you leave the office, it keeps on playing in your mind. At least for me, it keeps on playing in my mind, and sometimes maybe I get up in the middle of the night and I get that solution. Oh, maybe we do it this way, it will be better. So I think an architect is 24/7. You cannot be like somebody who shuts shop and goes away. You have to be at it all the time. And that's, you have to breathe architecture, live architecture, sleep architecture. That's all I always say. And I think that's how you can get the best results.
Reza, so your work ethic is that strong, and whenever it comes to a promoter or owner, they are living, breathing, sleeping the business 24 hours. But when you want to scale to the level that you have scaled, a good amount of delegation is required, a good amount of team management is required, at the same point of time, maintaining the level of quality of work. So, how would you advise on achieving all those things? Because not a single person would be able to do majority of the things also.
So I would say it's like you have to be very focused. You should be, I mean, if you if I tell you when I started, my mother would say, "What is this?" I mean, you know, firstly, as an architect, when you start as an architect, your uh, remuneration is very low. After even having passed out for 5 years of architecture, done your internship, and you start working, the remuneration is very low. Unlike you say as an IT person or as a other engineers, they get picked up at maybe at campus only. But in architecture, it doesn't happen that way. You have to be at it, and you have to give it your full uh, what do you say, with body, heart, soul, everything into it. And you have to be passionate about architecture. It cannot be, it's not, as I always say, architecture is not engineering, it's art with a twist of engineering. And there's no formula in architecture. In engineering, you have a formula. You want to get to something, you do x y z, x into 2 raised whatever, and you have the answer. But in architecture, it's not like that. In architecture, if you want to, you know, it's like there's no math in it. It can be in engineering, it will be 2 and 2, 4. But in architecture, it can be 1 plus 3, 4, or 1.5 plus 2.5 as 4, or, you know, point 0.5 plus 3.5 as 4. So there are many ways to reaching that solution. So there is no fixed way. What I mean to say is there's no fixed way to it. It's how you explore it. Today, if somebody gives me a plot, I may just not look at it from one side. Maybe I'll turn the paper around and look at it from the other side as well. So it's not like something, you just have the front facade. You have the rear side as well. So you have to look at it from all angles to design the building. There was an instance when a client came to me and he's doing a hotel project and a five-star hotel project. And he says, why do you need the elevation on the backside? Who's going to see it? You just do the elevation on the front, and for the backside, you just leave it flat. I said, when you wear a shirt, you wear the shirt on the back also, you have the same thing, and you have the front also, same thing. Why do you want the back? You just leave it open. Let your body, who's going to see you? Everybody's seeing you from the front. So it's not that. Architecture is like something like clothes. You have to have both sides covered. You cannot be saying that, the front side of the building is fine, the back side, nobody sees.
Right. Very much right. Beautiful metaphor.
Yeah. So you have to, uh, you know, not compromise, firstly, be focused and fully dedicated with passion. Architecture, you have to have passion. If you don't have passion, don't do it.
So we can say that if someone wants to pursue architecture and is planning to get into this field, firstly has to be passionate and has to be ready that this is going to be very competitive.
Yes, it is a very competitive field. You have to be very dedicated and hardworking.
How do you feel about AI coming into picture?
So AI is a good tool. It's like when AutoCAD came in, we were on the drawing board. So AutoCAD came in, we switched to AutoCAD, we started doing AutoCAD. We started doing better work with AutoCAD or with any CAD, with this thing. Then 3D architecture came in, 3D renders came in, all everything that came in, it enhanced the thing. And but the projects also started becoming more complicated because earlier we were doing all standalone buildings. Today we are doing mixed use buildings. Today we are doing buildings which are maybe you've got retail downstairs, you've got commercial in between, you've got residential on top, or you've got hotel. So there are so many users in one building alone, and to do it by a single uh, you know uh, on the drawing board, it was very difficult. But today, because of the softwares that we have, we've been able to actually visualize in 3D, like in BIM and whatever we are doing now. You can see the building, you can see the clashes, you can see the services, the transfers, everything. You can see it before it is actually going to site. So it has helped us. AI is another tool which people are using it in very they're still not conversant with it. People are trying experimenting things, but I think AI is helping you to do faster work. AI is helping you to do more options. So it's helping you, but eventually who's driving the AI? It is the person who's sitting behind, is the brain which is feeding the AI. If you tell something, nonsense to AI, is going to give you back nonsense into 10. So you have to be careful what you're doing and how you use it. So I think it's going to help us. It's going to be faster, and it's going to be good.
So, adding on to this whole topic, my question is, so let's take an example, marketing uh, in general, be it any sector, in any industry. So people have invested months, years to learn Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, creating graphics. Now AI is able to do that within minutes. So people have invested into learning a skill, and great example is coding, which right now AI is like, I think so. Jensen from Nvidia had spoke that within a matter of 6 months or time, the people who have invested time in coding is going to completely reach to a level where it will come to a zero, where all their investment and time will come to zero level. Has AI, in particularly in architecture, reached to this stage today where it could make such a big change, where a 2 year experience guy versus a 10-year experience guy, but 2 year experience guy with capabilities that he could benefit from using AI in a certain way would be able to beat a 10-year experienced guy in some time or today.
When you have a certain amount of experience, that experience is going to help you to even do AI. So a eventually you know how the flow should be, how the circulation should be. You know what is the difference between a good and a bad design. You know what is the functionality of the design. So a person who doesn't understand it, he may just put something, I want a, you know, two-bedroom apartment, but that two-bedroom apartment, whether it is correct or not, who's the person to judge? So experience comes in over there. So it's a tool, and I'm very sure, like we gotten from the drawing board, like the client used to come to us and he used to give us a project, and we used to do the design, and we used to make a plan, because it used to take us couple of days to make a plan with pencil and then work on it. First, we used to do a sketch, then we used to draft it out. We used to take out the carpet area, we used to take out number of floors, all that used to be done. And the client used to come and he said, "No, no, 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 I don't like this at all." So he says, "Come back after 8 days. I'll work on it again and I'll come back after 8 days or something." Or make a sketch. "Okay, fine. You like this? I'll just get it to the draftsman to draft it for you for the next. You come back after 4, 5 days or 8 days." But today, if the client says something uh, in the meeting only, you can just say, "Okay, I'll move this room from here to here. I'll do this and that's it." So things have become faster. Things have become better. You can do larger projects, like even technology when it came into construction. Earlier, we were doing only two-story buildings. There was no proper elevators. It came to elevators came in. There were only the single-speed elevators with the cage doors, and we used to use that. We used to do buildings only to 7 story. After that, the construction materials came in. The cranes came in. Your uh, ready mix concrete came in. So we started doing larger slabs, because you could do larger spans, you could do larger concreting in a day. So technology helped you, and that's why we started doing larger projects. So it's going to help you and you're going to grow. But you have to be adapting the new technologies that come in. A lot of people don't do that, and because of that, they're going to be out. So I mean, I'm trying. I'm learning. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm learning. I'm also trying AI. Every day I do something whereby I learn something. I learn something new. So you have to learn, you have to adapt, you have to change to be updated. And if you're updated, I don't think you're going to have a problem.
So, Reza sir, you being there for such a great amount of time in the industry, so what I realized right now is that you have seen the transition from sketching on a paper to adapting AutoCAD, and right now to adapting BIM. How has the journey been every time when such a huge change is coming into picture, and how much time it has taken to adapt?
I think it's more common sense. I don't actually sit down and draft, or I don't actually do 3D BIM, or I don't do SketchUp, but I can tell the staff, or I can tell my team that do it this way, you can get it. This will be the result. So, and I myself keep on trying, things by myself. If even I'm on a flight, or I'm on a airport waiting for a flight, I just keep on doing something on even AI. Like I start looking at YouTube videos, I start doing all those things so that you can get updated. And you have to move with times, you have to learn, you have to teach yourself, you have to be ready to learn. The day you think that you know everything, that is the end of your life.
From a promoter's perspective, and a lot of delegation is there when we are working at a scale. At your level, it becomes easier to adapt to change because a particular individual has to change his skills to adapt to that technology. How has been the response of that individual in terms of changing and adapting a new technology?
So we had a lot of team members. Like there was a architect who I worked under when I was doing my own training, and he did not adapt to himself. He did not adapt to technology. He kept on, with his sketches and his drafting and everything. And he came one day and he said, "I want to work with you." He started his own practice, but he couldn't be, uh, you know, up to it, because he was not changing. He was not adapting. So he came to me. He said, "I want to work with you." I said, "But you were the person who, I trained under." So he says, "No, but I thought now I don't know." I said, "Okay, fine. You know AutoCAD?" He said, "No, I don't know AutoCAD." I said, "Okay, you've come. Uh, because of our past this thing, I employ you and I'll give you two draftsmen, and then you make sketches and give it to them, let them do it. So he did that for almost 10 years. After 10 years, I found that he couldn't, you know, get the production that was required or the thought process that was required to do a larger project. So he got outdated. And because he did not adapt, he did not change, he was outdated. That's the example what I saw. And it taught me something that, Reza, if you want to keep yourself going and you want to grow, you want to do something, you have to change, you have to adapt, and you have to move ahead. Every day is a new day, and every day you learn something new. You have to do it.
Beautiful. I think so. That is the thing for life. If you are not ready to accept the change, then the change will
Yeah.
eat you up. So, Reza, so you are having operations in multiple cities: Pune, Ahmedabad, San Francisco. So, how do you manage taking care of projects, taking updates from teams from different cities?
So, like Mumbai, though, I'm there 24/7 kind of thing, whether I'm wherever I am, and I'm my thought process and my everything is in Mumbai. But we do most of our production design in Mumbai, that is for India. But we have started, we have a senior in Pune, and we started doing. So, what the concept is that the senior is there, and basically the project comes, and I sit with the senior, and we strategize the whole thing. We talk about it, we discuss the whole thing, and we start working on it, and it goes back and forth. So we have a particular time every day that, now with this, all the uh, video calling and video conferencing and everything. So we do it particularly morning 9 o'clock, 9:30. We do it. So whatever has happened in the day, we talk, we discuss, and whatever has to be done, I give them instructions, and by the end of the day, send me a mail. Whatever is done in the day, and I have the time. Whenever I have the time, I look at it. Next morning, again, we are together, and we are on the job. So that we are doing with Pune, with Ahmedabad also, we have started doing the same thing. San Francisco is like 24/7. So when I go from here, my office starts in the night, and so I'm there. And practically now, since we have a lot of projects which are on track, so it's much more streamlined. So we can, then it's become experience. So initially, I stayed in San Francisco for almost 10 years. I was traveling like 3 weeks in the US, 3 weeks in India, and I was doing that till I got everything streamlined. And today we are doing work over there, and everything is much more streamlined. It's no gray areas. It's all black and white. It's all codes, and you have to follow the codes, and it's much easier to work there.
Normally, what I have observed, and I think so, I might be wrong also, and this might be a wrong question also. Please correct me if the question is wrong. When architects are graduating, like when they are done with their studies, they are heavily wanting to do designing for the project. And in Bombay, what I witness is that until and unless you're not having at least the basics of liasoning, your designing is not going to get
So
uh,
it's not in Mumbai alone. It's I think in any city you want to design, you should know the codes.
right.
You should know the guidelines. If you don't know that, then you got to design in the jungle where there's no rules.
Exactly.
So you have to know the rules. You have to know the this thing. And I always tell any young architect passing out, when you come out of college, you don't know anything. Because when I remember myself, when I passed out and I came to start working, I realized that I didn't know anything. And you got to start learning again. You have to forget academics, and you have to start learning, because that is something you need to get a degree. So you study for that. But after that, your learning process starts from after you've passed out. And you have to learn every day. You have to be open to learning. You have to study the bylaws, no doubt about it. But I would say, as an architect, any architect starting or passing out, they have to go through a cycle. A lot of architects today, or even in the past, they pass out and they say, I want to do my own practice. Without understanding what architecture is, it's a big responsibility. You're playing with people's lives, you're playing with people's money. They're investing at your on your shoulders, on your skills. And if you do something wrong, at least in India, we don't have the design, what do you call that, design liability insurance. Overseas, you got that design liability insurance, and if you fail, your design is proof that it is wrong, you have to pay for it. And that's why you take a design liability insurance.
What are you saying? This is a thing outside India.
Yeah. And a lot of multinational companies, when we work for them in India as well, we got to do that. So uh, I would say that each student passing out as an architect, he should work under some architectural firm, and not for a small period of time, at least for couple of projects. You start from the when the project comes into the office, you start working on the design, the concept, or you be under somebody who's working as a senior, and you go through the process of concept, you go through the process of construction drawings, you go through the process of actually physically seeing the site, how it goes. Because what you're taught in college is very primitive, very old. You have to know the whole process of starting, when the excavation starts, how it is done, and till the handing over. So you have to go through the whole cycle, and handing over, so you know what are the challenges that you have, and then you learn from there. You don't just get into it and then you start struggling, now what next.
Is there a time period you could define, 3 to 5 years, 5 to 8 years?
3 to 5 years is minimum you should look at, where you've been through the process. You'll get smaller buildings in that time, but if you're looking at larger projects, you should have at least 7 to 10 years of experience to start doing large projects.
You hire freshers?
I like doing hiring freshers, because what happens is a fresher is uh, somebody who's like a child. You can train a child, and the child can understand your language. He can grow with you and accept what you want. If you have a senior, you hire a senior, the challenges that come with that, he comes with a lot of baggages. He comes with a lot of his own thoughts and his this thing. And when he comes with that, what happens is he's not ready to unlearn, or accept what you're telling him. He tells us that I've done it this way always. Whereas I would say it's my style, and if you're working for this organization, you should uh, adapt to what we are doing and how we are doing it. Yes, we are open to your suggestions, but because everybody has a thought, everybody has a mind, and sometimes they are also, very valid what they are saying. But still, I would say young staff, young team members are more liked, more required by me than taking a senior and then, trying to learn from him, or getting him to unlearn, and then, uh, working with him.
A very rarely heard answer in terms wise of preferring freshers, which makes true and
Yeah.
perfect in
So,
your case.
yeah. So, because what happens is, see, what we do is when the fresher comes in, we put them under a senior. So, he works under a senior. He learns, he understands the style of the company, he understands uh, the processes. Because, as I said, it's like, I don't want to give an example, but then, it's better you come with a fresh mind and you start uh, learning something and then implementing it.
Reza, so what's apart from architecture that you look forward to in life?
Holidays, holidays, uh, traveling.
Which is the city outside India that you like the most in architecture?
Every place has its own beauty, and every place has its own challenges, and you learn from every city. And myself is like, uh, whenever I'm going anywhere, so first thing I'll start looking at the buildings only, and buildings and the way things are done and why it is done, and if I had to do it, how I would do it. So, I mean, that keeps on, you like kind of de decode the whole building, and then you start looking at it, how it would have been better if you would have done it or something. So that's, I think it's become a lifestyle.
Yeah. I think so. That is there. Like as a developer, also you would want to see buildings. So the profession makes you
Yeah,
do it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, like, I mean, when we go to a hotel, we start singing why he's done it this way, why not this way. Or I've seen doctors, I've seen some doctor friends I have, and they go to the hospital, or they start looking at why, it's done that way. So the profession actually gets you into it. But I think architecture is a profession which you are involved with everything. Even when a hospital is there, or a hotel is there, or a residential building, commercial building, a station, or whatever is there. So you start, uh, and it's a very noble profession. It's a profession which you learn every day and you implement things every day.
What is your choice of design, like modern, minimalistic, or
So actually now most of the buildings have converted to minimalistic because of the and modern minimalistic, because one is that the labors are very challenging. I mean, you don't have that kind of skilled labor that you had previously, and then it's become very expensive as well. So people are opting for, modern minimalistic buildings, straight lines. I mean, earlier what we used to see a lot of carving and moldings and everything. So that's out, unless somebody has the passion, and he wants to really do it and he loves it. So otherwise, most of them are
how
preferring
would
to do.
you prefer to design?
I love doing classical work because it's got a lot of character. It's got a lot of story. It's got a lot of history behind it. So I would say classical buildings, period buildings, they are more interesting to do, and they've got a history. They've got a story.
And what about hobbies?
I love playing games. I engage in whatever. Sometimes there are a lot of these companies. They do architects cricket games, or they pickleball games, and I love doing that. I love swimming. Um,
So you like sports.
I love sports. Yeah, that's it.
And if you wouldn't had done architecture, what other profession would it be?
I can't think of anything
But
else.
you have to say at least one.
I never thought of, because I couldn't. I was not good at business. I'm not good at
No,
business
but
today.
you
Also,
have built a business.
it's a yeah. You say it's a business, but then I don't look at it as a business. I look at it as a passion more than business. Yeah, you need money to run the whole organization and everything, but uh, it's more of out of passion that I'm doing it. It's not a business acumen that I'm looking at. No, I must get so much money. I must. But then, yeah, there are these things, like so much expenses there. We have to.
There's a minimum benchmarking done. But Reza, so you have scaled the organization. You have managed teams. You have built your workstations across different cities. So it's a task for anyone to do, and you have done that as a business person.
Yeah, but I mean, still, it's like a profession, but not like business. Like if I would say, buy this land and do this. And I mean, I had so many opportunities. Clients told me, why don't you get in as a partner with us, give a name or something? I said, no, that's not my cup of tea. I'm very happy where I am. So I had a lot of opportunities to become a developer.
You have anything in your mind that a certain kind of project that you have not done till date? Anything?
Yeah, I would like to do a lot of these public buildings, like maybe railway stations, maybe some airports. Uh, I'm really looking forward to doing something on that scale where, uh, you get more exposure, you get more learning because they are a different kind of a, uh, project.
More like on governmental side.
Governmental, we are doing some commercial buildings, some residential buildings, but public buildings like, maybe some, as I said, airport, railway stations, uh, some parliament, some, uh, what do you call, courts, something on that lines.
Interesting. I have one interesting question. So there's a consultant, landscaping architect, and they have their kids also becoming a landscaping architect and joining the business. So I'm of that belief that today you have that passion, you have that experience, and not pointing out to you, but in general, if something is architecture or something has a very attached way of working to a particular individual, and is it possible for same to be carried forward into their next generation, and the whole world can expect the same out of the next generation?
So my son is an architect. He's done his architecture from San Francisco. My daughter is doing architecture from LA. She's doing at SIAC. But architecture is a more of a personal thing, yeah, but we made it like a institution kind of a thing where we are doing a lot of projects, large projects and everything. And there is a lot of input from the team and the seniors in the architecture, senior architects in the team as well. But there's a particular personal touch that comes into architecture. So yeah, we are doing it. My son is an architect, my daughter is an architect, my wife is an interior designer. But uh, the personalization is there in architecture, and especially if you're doing for uh, personal houses, you got to be involved, and that personal thing comes in, touch comes in. But when you're doing a corporate building or something, there, you know, the team can be doing it. A hotel, so there are some guidelines, and you can do it. Of course, your uh, personal touch comes in, but it can take on it has carried forward, and in
So
my
the
case
design
also.
philosophy can
Yes.
be carried
Yeah.
forward by the next
Yeah.
generation in the family.
Yeah.
Because I had this question, whether can it happen or it cannot, or
No, it can happen, but then see, like my son, he's more inclined. He says more of I don't want to do too much of architecture. I want to do more of kind of PMC work and project management work, and so that is. But then, it's like I've seen so many people who've done architecture and then they're doing just 3D renderings, and some of them are doing just, something related. Like I came across a lady, girl rather, she came to me through somebody, and she's doing what? She's done architecture, and she wants to do architecture journalism. So I mean, at least she knows what she wants to do. So the, once you learn something from there, also you can.
open up other doors.
Yeah.
Interesting. If 50 years later people pass through by a building designed by you, what kind of feeling you want them to have?
So I think buildings should be timeless, and buildings should be designed in such a way that they are reusable. Like What we did for Marine Plaza, it was almost 40, 50-year old or maybe more building. I'm not sure the exact this thing, but I think it was 40, 50 years old. And then we turned it around and we made it into a five-star hotel without even pulling the building down. So, uh, buildings should be designed in such a way that tomorrow, if you want to change the use of the building, you should be in a position to do it. And you have to keep that in mind and do a building, because after some time, because as things are changing, if you look at, a lot of buildings were converted into hospitals during the COVID period, and after that they continued to be as hospitals. So, or sometimes we are taking a commercial building, somebody's designed a commercial building, and after that they feel that there's a demand for a hotel to come in, so we've converted that into hotels, or some people have converted it into hospital. So buildings should be such, when you design, that you think for the next few generations, and they should be having the flexibility to adapt to a different user as well. I think that's a very sustainable way of looking at buildings, because just pulling down buildings after few years, of course, Mumbai, we are doing that today because of the FSI increase, and we are redeveloping a lot of things. Even Pune has started doing that, because Pune also, if you see downtown in Pune, everywhere the FSI has increased and people are pulling it down and doing redevelopment as well. So this is happening because of urbanization. Population is growing and land is scarce. God stopped making land. So we are reusing land.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's, I think we can sum up with that.
Thank you so much, Reza sir, and did get a lot of eye-opening answers to questions that I had in my mind, and definitely sure that people are also going to take back good amount of things that you shared today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me over, and I hope I've been of some use to some people.
Definitely a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.